The former president of FIFA is supporting a boycott of the upcoming 2026 World Cup.
We are, of course, looking ahead to the World Cup this summer, or, Mark Ogden, are we?
A potential boycott, is it going to come to that, of the 2026 World Cup has been suggested as potential leverage against Donald Trump.
There's talk of a potential boycott of the World Cup in the US this summer because of the politics associated with Donald Trump. Some people don't want to support a major event they feel could be used to boost his image or agenda. Could football associations or even governments step in to stop their nations from competing? Or will fans reconsider travelling to the US anyway? In this video, I'll cover 3 possible scenarios that could change or even end this summer's World Cup. So first, as I've mentioned, we could see nations boycott the World Cup.
And Germany are the champions of the world.
Most notably, a member of the German FA and president of Bundesliga club St. Pauli, Oki Golic, has stated, "I really wonder when the time will be to think and talk about a boycott. For me, that time has definitely come. What were the justifications for the boycotts of the Olympic Games in the 1980s? The potential threat is greater now than it was then. We need to have this discussion." He's referencing the US-led boycott of the 1980 Olympic Games in Russia, where 60 nations pulled out of the event after Russia invaded Afghanistan.
Neither the American people nor I will support sending an Olympic team to Moscow.
And the Germans aren't the only ones concerned. In the Netherlands, prominent journalist Teun van der Kukenhave started a petition which has gained 150,000 signatures so far. He stated the World Cup should be boycotted because of Trump's violent terror strategy against migrants, and said Trump's threats to annex Greenland undermine NATO and global peace. Although as things stand, Frank Poor, who's the president of the Dutch FA, has publicly ruled out a boycott for now. We have a similar situation here in the UK.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lib Dem MP Helen Maguire submitted a cross-party early day motion stating they don't think the US should be able to compete in major sporting events, never mind host them. An early day motion is something MPs submit if they want an issue to be debated in Parliament, although they're generally used to raise awareness of or to try and gain support around a certain issue. This motion is titled International Sport and Alleged US Violations of International Law. It states it wants FIFA to consider the exclusion of the United States from the World Cup and major international competitions. This motion has been signed by 29 MPs, but as of now, there's no comment from the government or the FA. So if any of those ideas gain traction, then we could see a European nation, or a group of them, boycott the World Cup. There's also fan groups calling for a boycott. England's LGBTQ fan group have said they won't attend, but they were also critical of the World Cup in Qatar, and they weren't able to create enough noise to create a wider boycott. And with Qatar, people were concerned about pre-existing laws. This time it's a little bit different, as there's new issues that are creating uncertainty for fans around their safety, which takes me on to point number 2. So fan security is another issue. As most people know, recently Trump's Immigration Customs Enforcement, or ICE, have killed 2 US citizens in Minnesota. This has caused a lot of outrage, and there's now protests across the country, including in almost all the states where World Cup games will be hosted. We're seeing protesters and journalists arrested too. So depending on how and if these issues are resolved, or if they escalate in the coming months, then we could see people put off from attending the World Cup. And it seems some people already are. This article from Ticket News states nearly 17,000 fans have cancelled 2026 World Cup tickets amid boycotts over US political climate. Obviously, 17,000 people isn't enough to stop a World Cup or even to stop a single game, but it could be the start of a trend. However, there are some other issues that could be more influential. Trump's administration has introduced social media screens for people looking to work in the US, so people critical of him who don't pass the online presence review might have their visa requests denied. And now they're looking to extend this to tourists. But at the moment, this is just a proposal. And this article states, millions of travellers might skip visiting the US if this policy is implemented, industry experts warn. And it says here it could see a drop of as many as 4.7 million international arrivals, which would represent a 23% drop. That's talking about tourists more generally, but that's exactly what World Cup fans are. So if anybody's taking the piss out of Trump at some point, or even like to post, they might reconsider travelling because they don't want to buy tickets just to have their visas denied. And some other fans might have no choice but to stay at home, as Trump's placed travel bans on 4 competing nations. Initially this impacted Haiti and Iran, but he then extended the travel ban, so now it also includes Senegal and the Ivory Coast. Obviously these bans are political and nothing to do with the World Cup, so the teams of these nations and their officials will be allowed to travel, but it's unclear yet whether there'll be exceptions for fans who wish to travel specifically for the World Cup. And if there isn't, then we may see a reaction from those nations, or it might stop fans from other nations travelling as well, as if not everybody's included, it might feel like a lesser experience. So the third, final and most serious situations that could impact the World Cup would be civil or international unrest. So I already mentioned there's protests in the States. They'd need to escalate drastically before we saw the US removed as a host of the World Cup. But the other and scariest issue would be international unrest. So Trump said numerous times he wants to take Greenland from Denmark, so who knows what Europe's and NATO's reaction would be to that. But it has been reported that European football chiefs have discussed how to respond to Trump if he tries to take Greenland, including that an annex attempt could bring a UEFA-led boycott. So that would include all European nations. So if they weren't competing, then it wouldn't really be a World Cup anymore. It'd be more of a Copa America. So those are the circumstances that could lead to a different or even cancelled World Cup. But there was pushback over Russia in 2018 and Qatar in 2022. So maybe even if the world's burning, we'll still get to watch some football.